the game while you listen.
What's going on here?
This ragtag crew of adventurers is covering the problems of the average player.
Where should I begin?
Discussing the home brews, modules, and the latest content for all things D&D.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
It's Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything.
What you're feeling is so normal and perfectly natural.
With your host, the Pirate Captain.
Everybody loves me, and I don't know why. I'm an asshole. I really am. The Pirate Captain is a dick.
Chef Bolgg.
Let me take a couple steps back so I can, really get this point across.
It's bullshit!
And Loke the Bard.
Instead of making a deal with Cthulhu or, the greater devil, you found an imp who was willing to give you dark vision in exchange for a gallon of blood.
With a little mayhem, mischief, and a bit of bardic charisma, it's time for the show.
It is Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. I am the titular Pirate Captain. With me, bestest buddy Bolgg.
That's me.
That is you. You wonderful, lovable oaf you. We are down a couple members, and that is because our resident Barn has lockjaw. Don't ask us how he got lockjaw. But he's got it. I hope he does get to feeling better, and I hope he tunes into this episode as it releases today. What is happening? This is Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything, though. I want to say that again. Thank you for tuning into us on YouTube. We have so much to get into today with the D&D, a little bit of the scandals that are going on, some GenCon stuff, and maybe the Olympics, too, just because I love the Olympics. Go Team USA. Except for when it comes to shooting, go Turkish guy who got the silver medal, because that guy is awesome. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment on the things that you enjoy us talking about, and go check out some of our past videos. A lot of them are a lot of fun. We have these conversations where we're just a couple of dudes. Normally there's 3 or 4 of us, and we are always having it. But I want to kind of get into today. Let's start talking about this big scandal with YouTubers that has gone on. And a lot of it, there's a little bit of nuance, and I see a lot of people that have kind of gone back and forth. I think there's one guy that I think has actually had the best take on it. And if you don't know what's going on, what has happened is Wizards sent out a bunch of these books.
Loke did another stream without his pants on. That was the problem.
I'm sorry, but I missed all that. My headphone cord.
Oh, I said Loke did another stream without his pants on. Big controversy.
Hey, look, I am all about the no pants streams, but he's got to stop Porky Pigging it. Yeah. All right, no underwear, no nothing. That is the worst. But but look, this scandal that's going on right now is that there's been a bunch of these YouTubers that were completely dogging on it, and in the same way that we've been dogging on it, absolutely. We were dogging on some of the ideas that are coming out of this new book with the backwards compatibility, some of the changes that they're making, and then all of a sudden they come out and they are hyping it up. It's this best thing ever. I've never seen something so good. I'm not going to call anybody out. I've seen a couple of them that I was like, wait a minute. And then you come to find out that they've actually been paid to do this. And that's where a lot of them are kind of getting roasted. Look, you're allowed to change your opinion. That's absolutely fine. Even though we're dogging on the book, we absolutely are going to dog. We're absolutely still going to dog on it because there's things that we just did not like. I did not like the fact they took away the pugilist from the fighter. It was a subclass I was excited for. I was ready for a bare knuckle boxer that is not just a monk, because the monk kind of takes away from the feeling of hey, look, I'm special because I learned martial arts, not because I learn something else.
Now, here's a question. I don't know if they took away the fighting style of the unarmed fighter. Because I'm in Loke's game right now. I am running a barbarian that took the feat of fighting style, and he took the unarmed fighting so that I can just pummel people, throw them around, do the traditional just berserker without a weapon.
Yeah.
With a couple level in monk so I can get some key points and pummel them a little further.
Yeah.
But the pugilist was custom built to do that with one class. As it is right now, I'm using 2 classes. I might even go into a third to get action surge, which is severely hamstringing my later game possibilities.
Right. And so that was one of the things they took away because, well, it just doesn't work, and they never really gave a good reason why it didn't work. The playtesting was out there. But these YouTubers have come out, and it's like a night and day shift. And some of the things that they were criticizing and saying, hey, look, this just doesn't make sense, they've come out and said, hey, this is amazing now. And it's like, well, hold on, man. And look, I'm all about this. Like, if you change your mind, like, let's say you read this book and you're like, oh, wow, this is great. This is amazing. I was wrong. But a lot of them haven't even said that they were wrong. They just changed their tune. And that's where I'm kind of upset with it. Like, why all of a sudden just change your mind without like telling people like, hey, look, I was kind of paid not to say anything bad about it. But I have a feeling like, and this is, if my understanding of like how some of these things work, because I've dealt with paid promotions and stuff like that in radio, like even if it's something you don't like, we have a vegetarian that talks about KFC, like how much he loves KFC. And he'll never say anything bad because that's his whole goal in life. And that's part of a paid sponsorship. And that's what I like. Just let us know that. Some of them weren't even clicking the little button you have to do on YouTube, like, hey, this is a paid sponsorship by this person and stuff like that. Like, you have to do that. And I think it's been blown up a little bit, like a little bit more than it should have been. But I still think at the end of the day, it was not. It's definitely not cool because all you're doing is losing a lot of the trust of your fans that you've built up over the years, and they expect you to come out with these takes that, like, hey, look, they're trusting you. Like the same way if we were to go to our friends and say, hey, look, we've reviewed the book, this is what we think of it, they're expecting us to be like honest with it, and I think there's been a little bit of that lost over here.
Oh yeah, and like I was saying before the show, gamers have had this controversy before, way back in the days of Driver 3, where people were, talking crap about it. Then suddenly their tune changed. Well, it turns out they had gotten paid and been told to be hush hush about it, so that more people would buy the game. And it turned out everything they were saying was great, was awesome, was terrible, and that it's a scummy move on the YouTubers' part. B, well, no, it's really a scummy move on the game developers' part.
No, I don't think it's a scummy move on their part because they want people to hype up the good thing. They don't tell you what to say. Well, they'll tell you what to say, but it's not like how to say it, if that makes any sense. Like, they'll come out and say, hey, you really should prop up these parts, that these are good and stuff like that. They're just paying people. You don't have to take the money. Like, that's the thing. You don't have to take the money. Like, it's nice to have that money, but you don't have to take it. So I'm not going to put it on the developers because they're doing what they want to do with trying to get money out of there. I'm going to put it on the people who took the money. In this case, especially the Driver 3, the fact that they called it a game, that was a mess up by the developers because it was not finished. It was just a pile of code and bad things. But yeah, I guess A is on the people who accepted it. B is a little bit on the developers because, I mean, you're saying here's this thing. Obviously, they're going to try and speak nicely about it. We don't know the contents, do we, of their contract when they accepted the paid promotion? No, you probably won't. You'll never find out because it's probably like a non-disclosure.
They may have been told, say the nicest things possible you could say about it. And
okay, but if you tell me to say the nicest thing possible, hey man, it's a great game. That's the nicest thing possible. Like I like the developers are gonna like bad developers.
The nicest thing is I love D&D. I love rolling dice and making characters. I love D&D. Here's this book. I love D&D.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, but like just be forefront and honest with this. Like, don't try and like sugarcoat some kind of like special deal. Like that's the thing. I want to give Wizards, and I love or hate me on this one. I never give Wizards the benefit of the doubt, but I'm giving it on this one because, look, man, you guys you're trying to sell your product. You're trying to make it as good as you can. So you're going to come out there and you're going to say, hey, here are the things that we want you to hype up. We want to talk about the changes to races. We want to talk about how your background is super important now, how backwards compatibility. Like, I've watched a few videos of people like asking about the backwards compatibility, and nobody has given me a straight answer of how well it's going to work. I mean, we're going to find out soon because they were selling those books at GenCon, and we'll get into GenCon here in a bit.
It should be coming out very soon, so we should be able to get our hands on a copy and bring it to all of you, our experiences, because I'm sure we'll run one-shots or maybe Loke will pick it up for a campaign, something. I mean, Pirate Captain will have to just read it. But
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, all these people that went to Gen Con, and this place was packed. And I have a feeling it's because this, like, a good part of it was because this book was coming out, because this was the only spot for you to get it. And for the first few days, from the videos from I saw from friends of mine that are there for Worlds tournaments and stuff like that, whether they're for HeroClix or card games and stuff like that, they were showing me it is packed in here. It is standing room only. The lines are out the door. So I have a feeling a lot of people were trying to get in this book. I guarantee if we go to eBay right now, we can probably find a copy of it. Hold on, eBay
for
D&D
exorbitant prices.
Oh yeah, I guarantee it. D&D 24. It's giving me nail polish. I love that.
eBay's algorithm is just the best.
Oh man, well, I didn't even hit the guarantee it. 24. Nope, they've got the 50th anniversary though out. So it hasn't even hit there yet, but I guarantee it. Yeah. So all I've got, somebody's selling the dice set that comes from the 50th anniversary, but that's it. I guarantee you give it a couple days. There's got to be some kind of clause on there that if you get caught with this on like eBay or something, you are going to be
sued into the ground.
I wouldn't say sued in the ground. They're going to probably send the Pinkertons after you. Like, I'm just going to be honest with that one. Yeah. Look, man, this book is getting a lot of hype because there's a lot of changes that are coming in. Some of them are good. There are some kind of changes that I'm upset because some of the better changes that I thought were in the right direction got reverted, and they're like, no, we're going to go back, because I think that it really conflicted with their backwards compatibility. And these are the things that I was hoping to see some of these YouTubers talk about. Like, that was what, like, I wanted to hear their thoughts on, like, that was the big thing. I wasn't so much worried about what classes and stuff like that, how they change, because those have kind of been out for a while. I wanted to know how this backwards compatibility was actually going to work. That's the part that I was most interested in.
And yeah, my quick YouTube search bringing up D&D 2024 backwards compatibility, I got a bunch of videos and not a single person actually hit on the answer to how does it work.
Yeah,
they're just talking about it, but they're not explaining how it's going to work.
And that
includes Dungeons and Dragons.
And that's something I think that is actually the that's probably like a paid talking point, is the fact that they want, they promise too much. It's kind of like when you get a new game coming out and they're like, you're going to be able to do all of these things, and you're like, oh, that's going to be cool. And then you get in there and then it's like a simple mechanic, like it's a press A to, or press X to doubt. And you're like, oh man, this is kind of lame.
Thanks, Peter Molyneux.
But I think Dungeon, when I was talking earlier about like who had the best take on it was Dungeon Craft. He actually came out and he said, hey, look, this is a part of the nature of the game, of having people come in and hype up your stuff. And he was actually more agreeing with what you said, Bolgg. Like, some people are going to take this money and they're going to say all the great things about it, even though it's kind of bad. But it's more along the lines of, hey, are you being honest with yourself? Like, in the long run, people are going to lose more of their they're going to lose more of their fan base over this if it comes out and they went and bought it because somebody, we'll just use ourselves for example. If we came out and we said the game was going to be amazing, you're going to love this book, and people are like, well, these guys said that it was going to be good, so therefore we have to go out and buy it. It's got to be great. And you're like, oh, well, I bought it because these guys said it, and it's not near as what it is. So,
journalistic integrity has forever been marred by well, technically yes, but journalistic integrity has forever been marred by money. Money makes the world go round. If you offer enough money, a journalist is going to go, oh yes, this product that I formerly hated is amazing now. Fake smile, not a camera. So it's yeah. Even the journalists like, I don't believe in paid promotions.
Oh, hold on, I got my Star 98.3 mug. It's a radio station I work for. Like, you know.
I don't believe in paid promotions.
Oh, I actually have like a red. Oh, you know what's funny is because I'm wearing a Reds jersey. I got a radio station hat, radio station mug for paid promotions. I like. Be honest. I think is the biggest thing. Like, just tell us that you're getting. Like, I would rather you tell me you're getting paid, and then I know kind of like, all right, half of this is probably going to be decent, because you're not just changing your tune overnight if you're being paid.
Well, I'll give you an example of someone who did it right. And it's not necessarily for this. It was for when Spiral from the Book of Saw came out.
Yeah.
Dead Meat did a video where they did 5 things they loved about Spiral. And then when eventually they got to the kill count for Spiral, they're like, look, those 5 things, we stand by those 5 things. We love those 5 things. But now we're going to be completely honest about this. If that's how that had worked, if they had, said, here are these things that we love about D&D 2024, and then once the book has its full release, everybody has it in their hands, they go, okay, we stand by those things that we said we loved, but now here's the full review of the book and the problems we see with it.
Yeah. That
would be okay, but that's not what's happening with these videos. They're saying, oh, this is amazing, this is great, it's going to revolutionize D&D. It's obviously a flip-flop of opinion with a little green in between.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to get paid in like D&D Beyond stuff. That's the bit. Like, honestly, like this whole YouTuber scandal thing that's like going on, it's not even that big of a scandal. Like, it happens all the time. You actually can go in and Google like paid endorsements gone wrong, and you'll find like shout out to local guy down there in Tampa, Drew Garabo. He kind of got shafted in the wrong way because he was endorsing this product and then found out it was a Ponzi scheme. And he's like, bro, I didn't know. It was a paid endorsement. And you got to do a little bit of research on your paid endorsements. There was this one recently where if you paid into it, they would plant a tree in your name, and they never planted any trees.
Yeah.
Like it was that bad.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can be paid shadow money.
Yeah. That is still one of my like all-time moments of us hanging out together. It was like, in the company we shall not name, but it's gonna be shadow money. Oh, you know who orders steak at a buffet?
Paid shadow money.
It was so stupid.
It was.
Oh, I tell you though, my biggest thing is not so much, and I actually hadn't planned on talking about this, was not so much the paid money thing going between YouTubers though, is like how much of this digital age is like being pushed. And I want to throw it back to Dungeon Craft, dude. I love this guy, man, and I hope everything's going all right with him and his cancer. But he has this video called D&D Goes All In on Digital, and you're starting to see where they're putting money in. They're trying to make it like the money off of Monopoly Go, which is like another Hasbro property that's made a crap ton of money. And I can kind of see that they're trying. That's why they're homogenizing everything, making everything simple, because it's easier to plug into an algorithm if you only have like small variables to change versus like the balancing and everything that goes on with like bigger MMOs or online gaming and stuff like that. But if everything is kind of like based off these circle numbers that, oh, hey, everything is 1 here minus this because of this background, and then everything's the same, it kind of makes more sense. But I think that's the bigger scandal that everybody needs to be worried about. Like, you need to hold on to your old copies of this game.
Yeah, because the D&D Live, they just did a stream with one of the platforms that does it all digitally.
Yeah.
So it's it's a dungeon that's AI built based on whatever things you put in there, and then you're able to move little minis through it in a 3D environment. and it's compatible with mobile. That signals to me that they're trying to basically make D&D Go.
I think they're just trying to take the success of D&D Go. You're absolutely right, and then mix it with the success of Roll20, which I don't. Roll20 had that big data breach not too long ago. I talked about that, and that was a massive punch in the gut. But Roll20 got its. Roll20 is still like the good place to go to play D&D. It has a lot of preset customs and things like that for you to go in and just like modify here and there. And it was super big during the pandemic when people weren't playing with each other. But people still have a lot of their physical copies. Like, it's not a pure, like, buy this and get all these features.
And it's community moderated, so, you can go in and not only D&D, if you want to play a Cyberpunk game, which is exactly where I played Cyberpunk, it's on Roll20.
Yeah.
And it's community moderated so that if anybody puts in like, oh, here's a variant rule, it goes through so many checks and balances to make sure it's okay before they put it in a downloadable section.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing here, if they were to make something like D&D Go, where you could be walking along playing D&D on your phone, with other players, as long as they kept the monetization to, instead of having a token, you have a full mini, different variations of dice, upgrades to, your minis.
You're talking
appearance.
A lot of like microtransaction stuff.
Yeah, that is how you make the money in these types of games, and that's okay. But if you start charging, like, in order to roll your dice, you need to pay 99 cents. You only get so many dice rolls a day. That's a problem.
I don't think it's going to get that bad. Like, that to me, like, you may be able to...
That's Monopoly Go.
Yeah, I think that's... I don't think it's going to get that bad. Like, you would end up killing off whatever base you had at that point. A lot of people are, like, they're excited to see... Like, I don't want to lie and say, oh, there's nobody out there that wants a digital D&D. No, there's actually quite a bit. There's the younger generation that's already on their phones. They're like, okay, I can just play on this, and I have these features already baked in. Like, it's less. And it's less time I got to spend, but I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. I'm an idiot. But I don't think that this whole digital play is going to work out for a game that's essentially a board game that works better when you have the layout of everything. Like, no, that's not how I want to say it either. Like, that just seems...
What is your train of thought, Amtrak?
Yeah, train of thought, Amtrak. I lost my train and my track. I'm very much against the digital age when it comes to D&D. Like, I never played with the apps when I could avoid it. I've been given spreadsheets to use in the past, and those were kind of like fun for a little bit, but it just wasn't the same. I would write down in a notebook. I'm sure if I look around, I still have that notebook that has every character sheet that I've ever played with since I met you guys back in like 2016, and that's the way I enjoy playing. Like, something where I can just, like, I can go back and refer to old characters. And it's really good because then I can actually come in and say, oh, I remember doing this and I like this about this character, but I didn't like that. So let's go ahead and, like, nix that for another idea. Did I use this idea in the past? And I don't think you're going to get that in this digital age. One of the big things they're talking about is, like, well, your character creation, it takes too long. And it's like, character creation is like the best part of the game. Like, you get to design the you want to be. Like, that's...
I have a bad habit of taking an idea and running with it, so I don't really do too much planning. But when I do theory craft, that is so much fun.
Oh, theory craft. I mean, that's how this whole show started. Like, we used to sit around for like hours at the end of the night and theory craft. Hey, I've got this idea and it's going to do this, and you're kind of working on with this. And I
would love for Felix to come in and talk about his two characters he had in my, what was supposed to be a 1-shot, 3-shot, because he did some serious theory crafting and introduced some monsters. And it's a shame that it was only for a 1 or 2-shot, because I think it would have been a fun character to play for a campaign. Because he can nuke pretty much anything I threw up against him.
Well, I mean, that's the fun part about it. It's like, especially one shots. Those are like the best spots to kind of like theory craft and mess out. But I don't think you're going to be able to get that with this D&D Beyond or this new version, because everything is like baseline. Like that, everybody is pretty much set at 0, and you know what used to make each race different and unique is now okay. Well, everybody can do that, and it no longer makes you unique, and it makes it no longer fun. I had this idea for a tank wizard, and I thought it was like one of the funniest ideas I'd ever come up with, and it involved being a dwarf wizard because you're getting that natural bonus to health, and then you take tough on top of that at level 4, and you're an abjuration wizard, so you're just constantly putting shields on yourself. So you're just naturally beefy. And I hadn't actually even planned on doing any multi-classing. Like there was no, hey, we're going to go into fighter or anything like that. Like it was just going to be a cloth-based wizard, and you would use like mage armor and a bunch of others to kind of like just naturally make yourself stocky.
That's exactly Felix's second character. I won't feel bad about revealing it. I won't feel bad about revealing he's playing Megumin, but as an abjuration wizard that only casts fireball. So, and he'll use mage armor to build up that ward, because he can with a Eldritch Invocation feat, he can cast it at will. So he's just like boom, 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 boom. Okay, now his ward's back up to full.
Yeah,
that's a brilliant idea. And the thing is, with the new version, where stuff stacks is all now aligned. Even my character, where I'm having to choose a couple levels from here, 1 or 2 levels from here, maybe 3, and then trying to build from where that is, because I'm making a pugilist barbarian. And spoiler alert, that doesn't really work unless you have the ability to punch things. So
imagine if they made a class. Let's say some sort of class that was really good at punching things without having to use martial arts.
So the thing is I'm a totem barbarian, but I'm also an emerald dragonborn. So I have resistance to psychic. So now I'm a bear totem, so I'm resistant to everything. Which means my job is go in and punch the shit out of everything.
But are you resistant to dex checks?
I have advantage on dex checks.
Yeah, fine. We'll figure a way to kill you one day.
And I'm barbarian and monk because I want to punch things. If I go high enough in monk, yes, I am resistant to dex checks.
That's just
I've got evasion.
That just sounds like a nightmare combo. But I don't think you like. What makes some of this fun and stuff like that is the idea of every race being unique and every class being different, and I just don't see that in this new game. And with it going online, they're really not going to want to have to put in all these variables. Like we figured out, I have for a long time known that Wizards is lazy by nature. They will just do whatever is legitimately the easiest thing they can to get away from having to do anything. And you see that with, hey, we could fix some of these classes that people really like, or we'll just go back and grab everything from Tasha's that people just said, yeah, well, this is what we want. And that's kind of just lame, man. You had the chance to set the groundwork from zero, start over, and just make this a whole 6th edition. Nobody would have been mad. And really just laid it out. Hey, we're going to start with these basic core class concepts. We want this. I kind of wish it would go to the way of Pathfinder, where you have more classes and not so many subclasses. Like the subclasses are kind of getting out of hand, but I think that's what they could have done, and I think it would have worked out for them in the long run. But now that it's going towards this digital age, like they're just not going to want to put in all that work.
Well, I had seen something a while ago where somebody was like, they should reduce it to 4 classes: fighter, rogue, cleric, and mage. And what you do is, in order to get your subclasses, you have basically trees where they follow as they level up. And fighter, you have the barbarian tree, the continuation of the fighter tree, the monk tree. And then over in rogue, you've got the warlock, and you've got the ranger. Then cleric, and it just keeps shooting off based on these different classes. And the way they built it with 5e, and it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like something that Alok thing, because he really enjoys like the Final Fantasy tactics of like everybody. You're either like an alchemist or something, and then how you spend your points or what you do essentially designs how you level up. And that, like, I'm okay with that. I don't know if I would pick. I don't know if I would have like the ranger come off the rogue tree instead of like something else. I
might be getting the ranger and the monk flipped.
Yeah, I was
the monk be part of the rogue tree.
Yeah, it just seems like the warlock kind of makes sense, but like the ranger definitely feels like it would come off the fighter tree. But that I'm okay with that. Getting back to the basics of the game is something that they're talking about with like not the 50th edition. I want to get that edition, but I'm the 50th anniversary edition with like all the Gary Gygax, but freaking man, Jeremy Crawford makes me want to strangle him. Just kind of like not legitimately like show up and like strangle him, but just like the,
metaphorically,
like a Bart Simpson style, like, would you quit messing with things? But I think that you could, get back to the basics of like, hey, here are 4 classes, how you level up, how you branch out, what you do. The subclass bloat is the same way, like if you play World of Warcraft and you feel like you have like 1,000 buttons and you're like, I don't even know what half these buttons are used for, why they're any good, and then you get into a fight and it's like such a niche setting for this one button that you never pressed in your entire life. But that's what this subclass bloat is feeling like right now, and it's not getting any better with this 2024 edition, which says that you can use everything from the past or you can use our new stuff, which there's going to be times you're not going to be using the new stuff. There's going to be times you're going to use the old stuff. But the idea behind like everybody can do everything just is, it's this tired old argument that I make all the time. But I think it's just because they want to get into this digital age of like, it's just easier if I can sell you a healer package and it has all the subclasses for everything that can heal, which at this point is pretty much everybody. But I don't know of one class that doesn't have like a healer subclass feature. Like I even think Barbarian's got one.
Maybe Ranger?
They naturally learn like healing spells.
But it's not like a healing class.
I mean, let's go down to classes. Let's go down to, the button's broken. D&D Wiki, your button's broken. Oh, there it goes. We find clicks. Alchemist for there. Wild Magic. Granted, that one's not really Ancestral Guardian for there. Bards can just do it with the lore. Cleric, Druid. The Fighter would be the only one that I would think.
The Barbarian and Fighter both do not have natural healing options.
They don't have. What about the Ancestral Guardian? I feel like that does.
If it does it for yourself, not for everybody else.
So yeah, all right. So yeah, so you have like 2 classes that can't heal, but why? Like, but then again, it starts making more and more sense where they're trying to go into this like D&D Beyond world of like, hey, look, if I can sell you a package that has all of these healing things that you can use to for whatever game you want to use. Like, here's a character sheet that you can it'll fill out for you automatically and stuff. And that was a thing a few YouTubers were talking about, was like how the D&D Beyond, like their big sell is, we're going to take the time out of character creation and take the time out of everything. And but that's, like I said, it goes back into that theory crafting idea of like, this is what's so much fun about it. Like how exciting is it to sit around? Maybe not every zero session is super exciting because you're sitting there trying to, like, sometimes you don't even get a play because you're sitting there worrying about, well, I want to make this and how about this. But it's really cool when you have all your friends around and you're sitting there talking with each other and you're throwing ideas back and forth between each other, going, hey, well, this is what I want to do, and Oh yeah, here, check this out. I can't. I don't feel like. Let's see if I can get it shared. Oh man, official tool set. So much I got to do for this. This will be. All right. So right here, like this is where it's trying to go to. You can get the hero tier and the master tier, and you can spend $4.58 a month. Which is honestly not a bad price for any subscription right now, but I'm still not doing it. 1 week access to core rulebooks, unlimited characters you can create, publicly share homebrew content. It's the internet. We can just share anything. Like, that's so stupid. Exclusive subscriber perks every month, so it's like probably like a battle pass or something like that, and that's kind of dumb. 2 week early access. The master tier gives you pretty much everything this gave you. Host epic game sessions with maps. Share unlocked content with other players. Alrighty, let's go to Roll20. I know that they I was on Roll20 before it was a big thing, and it wasn't. You didn't have to subscribe for anything. You can look for a group. Dynamic lighting. That's actually a fun little feature. Oh man, they really no load screen ads, shared table features, access to all Roll20 characters. That's really kind of cool. I don't know. I feel like you're getting a better deal from them than you are custom character sheets. Maybe not. Ugh. Alrighty, Roll20, you let me down. I mean, oh well, for $9 a month. Actually, crap. You're getting more for $9 a month than you are from getting from like $5 a month from them. Transmogrifier, copy pages, characters, handouts, and other elements between games. That's really cool. So if I have a character I really like, I can just take over there. Curated monthly reward, the custom character sheets, community collection, and custom tools and features, early access. The dynamic lighting is like one of my favorite features of Roll20. Of like it gives you your field of vision for your characters, and so that way, like when you walk into a room, like how you move your character, it's like very important for what you can or can't see, or if you have like low light vision and stuff like that. But yeah, no, absolutely, like these things right here, like for $9 a month, you're getting way more than what you're getting with D&D Beyond, and that's gonna be their biggest that'll be their biggest fight. That's going to be their biggest battle right there, is like trying to beat Roll20. But what they're offering right now is not anything worth it. If you buy the books or something, like you pre-ordered the books, they give you, instead of giving you something like a tangible for pre-ordering the books, other than the books, you just get a bunch of items beforehand for D&D Beyond, like
Dice,
the dice and
yeah, and because they've done it before, those dice will be available later as a microtransaction.
Yeah, somebody was saying that too, and
with a good spend. Don't worry, if you miss out, you can always buy them later.
Yeah, so it really makes like pre-ordering any of this stuff like garbage. They already have maps that are already preloaded in there. Use homebrew content in your games. Why? Like you have to subscribe to them to use homebrew content in your own game with D&D Beyond, or I can go pretty much do that essentially for free over on Roll20. So like I don't know where they're trying to compete with. I think it's just, I think their digital age, I think it's here, but I don't think it's what they think it is. Like I just don't.
And what beats out even Roll20 is you can go and do that at a game store. Just like, hey, I want to join this game. Okay, here's the books you need.
Yeah.
It used, sometimes even marked out with what you need, with little, bits of paper or sticky notes or whatever.
Yeah.
And people there to help you.
Yeah, that's
like if you're a new player, D&D Beyond and Roll20 can be very hard to understand and get to. Whereas going to a store, they're going to explain everything, take their time, and help you learn how to play the game.
Oh man,
The one thing D&D players want, just as much as a good game, is more good players.
We just want players. You don't have to be good. I'll help you become good. That's easy.
Well, good players in the sense that they're not what we have complained about as bad players before.
It's true. Like, I think that this is the time for the local game stores to really shine out. Like, now would be like if you really enjoy any kind of tabletop gaming, because I know some of them have been having major issues recently. Warhammer's not doing really good. I think somebody was saying that they canceled the Amazon series. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
I don't believe they have. I know Cavill is still hard behind it.
Amazon canceling Warhammer. Games Workshop. Nope, they have till December to agree on something. Okay. So it was a bad headline that I saw. I just didn't read it because I'm not a big Warhammer guy. So, but they have to agree to creative guidelines for Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40K film and TV series, or they won't happen. So they have till December to work their problems out. But
Amazon specifically, but Cavill will find a place for it to go.
Oh yeah. He's. Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm not gonna spoil anything.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not been 2 weeks. It's only been one.
Yep. Okay.
Trust me, I've been wanting to talk about Wesley Snipes for a long time. Hands down, best part. But the tabletop gaming is in a weird free fall right now, and somebody could pull the cord on this, and it's going to be the local game shops. If I had to tell you anybody, these are the guys that are selling the content and stuff like that. And the moment Wizards and Warhammer and all these other ones, they lose these game shops, that's it. That's the end of tabletop as we know it. It's going to move to this digital age where people are just going to be playing online, because eventually Wizards is going to figure out, well, I don't have to produce these books anymore. Like, I will make people buy them online. And the bad part is people will buy them online, and that's just going to give Wizards the power that they want. You know, we need to have that, like, you know, Saruman and Gandalf thing where you have no power here and stuff.
Yeah, and we have even here in the Tampa Bay area, we have plenty of places to go where you could go and play. Let's just plug some of them now. Our friends over at Phoenix.
Oh yeah, shout out.
I mean, I've been seeing them just explode. I think they're looking for a bigger place to move because there's just not enough room for how many people they have. And that's just for the card games.
Yeah.
Not even D&D.
And you got Darkhold up here over in Eaton. They're working on trying to get into, they bought an old National Guard armory that they're renovating. I haven't been there in a while. It's been a hot minute. I used to go play a card game over there. Twisted Fate, really good game. Highly recommended. It's like Commander, but with anime. And but that's it. When you lose these guys and they can't put your product out there anymore, then you're killing those shops. Now the cards will always be there. Like, you'll always find card games because the Japanese are loving still putting out Pokemon, and the One Piece game is actually really big. Digimon is a huge turnout. Actually, one of my friends that went to GenCon, that's what he was there for. He was there for the Digimon Worlds. I think he was commentating. Like, he was requested to be a streamer, if I remember right.
Yeah, Lorcana, Disney's game is exploding. The Final Fantasy game is big. Of course, Magic the Gathering is still a juggernaut, even with all the bad decisions they've made. Though I have been digging some of their secret lair drops and collaborations. The Assassin's Creed set was fun.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. So was the Fallout set, but and it's a printing machine, those card games. So these places will be filled with people, and if you go around, you know, Friday Night Magic going, hey, I want to set up a D&D game, would anybody be interested in coming in tomorrow and play, you'll get some yeses. I mean, how many times did we go to our local game store and the Magic guys were playing D&D, and then once Magic started, they went over and shifted and started playing Magic. There's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah. Well,
you'll find it.
And that'll be the sad thing is like people will leave D&D to go start playing these other games where people are congregating because it's a social game. People are going to want to get out and they're going to find like-minded people that are like, hey, I just want to play Magic or I just want to play Lorcana or Twisted Fate or any of these games, and you'll see these book sections filled up. Pathfinder's about the only book, and it's not even the new version. I've not actually taken a look at the new version. The old one is the one that's still selling out. Like people still want the old versions of Pathfinder. I've got a couple of those books with me right now down in my library, and that's like, but how long will that last before the new version takes over? Because I mean, it was the same way as D&D went on. People were still playing the older versions till the new one just had too much stuff coming out for it.
I mean, you'll still find tables playing second edition, third edition, 3.5, maybe even a fourth edition. Probably not, but maybe. But the backwards compatibility, I don't know if they're just trying to eliminate that, so that you could have somebody at the table with the book going, hey, yeah, well, look. While everybody else is playing 5th edition, like, no, you can't. But they're trying to say, yes, you can. But we've seen the changes, and we're like, no, you can't.
Yeah. No, we already know. I think it's just so... I think if you ask me what the idea behind their compatibility thing is more along the lines that like it's more of like a show of faith of like, look, you don't have to go buy the new book. You should go buy the new book, but you don't have to go buy the new book because you'll be able to play with these other things and they work together. Go buy the new book. And that's kind of how it is. It's this low key underhanded thing. And we're seeing it. Like I guarantee you were telling me that they sold out twice at GenCon. Like GenCon was packed. Like all the videos of like my friends that are there right now, and granted, it's only like an hour and a half away from me. And I was like, I'm not going this weekend because the videos from Thursday when it opened, like lines out the door of the convention center. I looked at the traffic over in Indy and you couldn't get in to where the convention center is where they were at because of how bad traffic was. You had to walk. A buddy of mine was selling. He had to walk like almost a half a mile from his hotel. He was staying at one of the hotels over there and he's like, I just walked like the half a mile. And he's a bigger dude, so him walking is kind of funny. And I guarantee you a lot of people there were there to see, to get this new version of the book and see how it's going to play out. So we'll see how it plays, but I think in the long run, it's just not gonna matter.
We're gonna go, ooh, the shiny thing, put it to the side, and go back to 5th edition.
I highly think that's going to be it because there's just more options in 5e as of now than this 5.5 that they've got. So you're going to get more left or right limits of what you can do versus like if let's say we create 2 fighters, all right? We have like 6 people in a campaign and magic's not a big thing, so we're going to create 2 fighters. That's going to be the concept behind this. You make an elf fighter and you make a dwarf fighter, but they're the exact same thing because nothing, what made the dwarf unique, fighting in the hards of the mountain, working in the smithing versus you probably being an elf fighter being more agile. So you have a higher dex score versus where I would have a higher con because of having to live in the harsh environments of being in a mountain. But no, it's because I was a smith versus you being a smith. Now we're the same because elven armor and dwarven armor are 2 of the exact same thing, even though the lore that the game's based off of pretty much says no, they're like 2 different things. And it's, well, why am I going to do that? Where I can go to 5e where you can actually have those natural differences in being maybe you're a wood elf fighter and you spent your time in the trees, but I'm a Durgar dwarf, so I spent my time in the Underdark. So like life was a lot harder for me, and I deal with all sorts of onsets, and like that's what you're not getting out of this new edition that I think is going to make it to where people don't want to play.
Yeah, they're basically saying be whatever you want to be, except based on these rules that make it so that everybody is everybody.
Yeah.
So you're not really being what you want to be because they're taking away what makes being something special.
No.
I mean, how hard do I have to sing the praises of the original orc race that they gave us? It gave us Bolgg.
I think orcs in general were just like really good. Like I've seen, I think this is one thing that's kind of annoyed me about a lot of the YouTubers that are like very much in this old mindset of things. Like, you shouldn't be able to play monster races. I like, there's a very good reason to play monster races, like kobolds or goblins. I love goblins. I think goblins are funny because you can use them for just damn near everything. I still remember the long-standing bit that we were playing a game. It was like, look, there's goblins everywhere. You just pick one up and use it as a shield. And I chuck goblins at people. That was like that whole character concept. It was fun. But they're like, well, paladins should only be humans. No, paladins should have religion. That's what paladins need. Whatever your god is, if you're a fighter for your god, that is a, basic of a paladin. But you get to this idea now that, well, the monster races, now they're good because racism is bad and all that dumb stuff that they're trying to like correlate. And it's like, no, you're not seeing the beauty of being like actually using racism as a point. Like, nobody wants these monsters to succeed, so you have a whole encampment of monster classes. So you're playing an orc and I'm a goblin, and we actually have this whole community out in the woods that nobody messes with us. Everybody thinks we're these evil creatures, but we're just trying to live our lives, and we're raided by these human bandits, and now we've got to go avenge ourselves. Like, it's great. That's why you can play these monster races. But now there's no reason to play a monster race because they're just exactly like the elves. They're just like the dwarves. They're like, well, they're not bad. Well, depends upon the setting. It's okay for them to be bad, but not all the time are they bad.
And even in D&D's Forgotten Realms setting, there have been outliers, people who grew up under the nurture and chose to reject it. I mean, the biggest figure in D&D lore, Dritsto Erden, is a drow that came from Menzoberranzan, the evil drow city.
Yeah.
And chose to go against that evil and be a hero. Bolgg was too stupid to have morality. So there wasn't a good or a bad. There was his whim and what that meant to him.
Yeah.
So if he killed somebody, it wasn't out of a sense of evil. It was, he was hungry and he needed some food. So having the good versus evil conversation and trying to say, oh, well, we can't have races that are inherently evil. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Real world, this happens. I mean, even in other genres, this happens. That time I got reincarnated as slime. That's monster races rising up against the humans that have oppressed them.
I wouldn't use that as example. That anime jumped the shark a long time ago.
Season 1.
I would say if you're going to use that one, Jobless Reincarnation is really better, especially when they get to the other continent and you have like a whole race of people that people think are bad, and like they go around spending as they're trying to travel across the dead continent, they're like, hey, look, do good things. We drop these statues off, and people think that these people are better.
At least I didn't choose Overlord.
Yeah, that's good point. Oh, but I am choosing to say goodbye. This is it for this episode of Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Almost forgot who I was. You can always find us every other week. This is a fun, just little goofy podcast that we just kind of hang out and talk with you about all things D&D. And we really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe. Drop a comment on what you think about all the things we talked about today. Go check out past videos. Drop a comment there. We will be responding to you. With that being said, say goodbye, Bolgg.
Goodbye, Bolgg.
As always, happy adventures. Yarr.
You've been listening to Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything, featuring Loke the Bard. Like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast. You can also find them on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Questions, comments, and mutiny requests can be sent to bolgandpc@gmail.com. And as always, happy adventures.